Hello, dear ones. I've heard from a number of you that as time in isolation and shelter at home goes on, you're having a more and more difficult time. And I understand that. I was listening to a story on NPR, and the psychologist was talking about stress factors, and he said there are a number of things that contribute to stress. Uncertainty, confusion, a sense of giving up control, and not having a sense of the duration of how long we're going to be out of control. And it was like, oh my God, we're experiencing all of those things. So I just want to say to you, it's understandable if you're feeling some anxiety and stress and wondering how long this is going to last. And the Harvard Business Review actually published and made available for free an article on grief, because the psychologist they interviewed is arguing that a lot of us are actually feeling grief over the loss of our routines, of a predictable world, and grief over all that we've lost. Some of us have lost jobs, some of us, again, have lost routines. And the psychologist also talked about anticipatory grief and the importance of knowing, because all of us know that it's going to get worse. We don't know who it's going to affect. We certainly are making efforts to try and stay safe, but we don't know. And that sense of kind of impending doom is a classic symptom of what we call anticipatory grief. And one of the things that the psychologist talks about is in grief work, one of the things that we try to do is find ways to find areas of control, which leads us to acceptance. And so, again, hand washing is one thing that we can do that helps us accept the parameters of our new normal. And I know that many of you, my hands are getting quite raw from the constant hand washing, and yet it's something that I can do to try and stay safe. I wear gloves and a mask when I go out, and these are things that I can do. But the psychologist in this article emphasized the importance of balance, keeping the grief in balance with other things like anticipatory joy. And so as you find yourself feeling more grief and more stress, try and think of what you have in your life that helps you balance that. And so I am trying to, again, stay grounded in my GLAD practice, and I'm trying to make sure that I say a visible and vocal thank you to someone every single day. And a few days ago, I was driving down Summit Avenue, and there was a crew of workers filling the potholes. And I rolled down my window at the intersection of Victoria and Summit, and I said to the worker, I said, "Thank you so much." And he looked at me and goes, "You are so welcome." And then he said, "Do you want to race across the intersection?" So here's this giant St. Paul truck in my little hybrid Honda that has no pickup whatsoever as we are racing across the intersection of Victoria and Summit. And of course, I left him in the dust as he continued his work of filling in those potholes. But we both waved and we honked to each other, and we both had big smiles on our faces. And so I think about those things that are bringing me joy. And on Sunday, the thought of us being together, because someday that will happen, I must confess, brought me to tears during the sound check. And Rob said, honey, deep breath, deep breath. As we all know, that's what he says when you're needing to center yourself. So I did a deep breath, but the thought of us singing together brings me such anticipatory joy that I was crying. And I did pull myself together by taking those deep breaths. And I'm anticipating the joy of spring. I've started planting seeds. I'm watching my bulbs come up. And there's going to be joy, because this, my friends, is not going to last forever. Thank you so much.